What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one breaks down what's going on with the overall market and what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm going to talk about Tesla stock, SPY, and the QQQ, and break down some very important news that just came out, and also something big involving Tesla that's going to be very important. But before breaking things down about all of this information, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so when it comes to the market, we're actually still showing some signs of weakness on Tesla. Tesla got a nice tiny little bounce off this 275 area, retesting the 200 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame. And then after testing the 200, we got another rejection, and Tesla's continuing to decline, currently testing the 277 area. We're seeing more selling pressure approaching the open, and we may see even more downside for Tesla just looking at this trend. It's not ready to just truly bounce just yet, but we are going to see some buyers try to defend 275. That's where we have some support right now. So I'm going to break down more details about Tesla in just a few minutes, but let's first talk about the market and what news and data just came out. So initial jobless claims came out today at 228,000. This was lower than expected, showing some strength in the job sector, which is not what the Fed wants. So this was technically not good news for the markets. The market wants higher amounts of initial jobless claims, more unemployment, and this in turn is going to incentivize a more hawkish Fed. Why? Because the Fed is not solely after inflation, in my opinion, like they make it seem. They could be after a great reset in the job sector, and that's why they're looking at this data very, very carefully. Now, that is much needed for the economy, at least in some ways, but at the same time, you can look at that in a more nefarious manner. But I'm not going to be one to go into down that rabbit hole or anything like that. If anything, now let's just talk about the market in an unbiased manner. The Nasdaq futures also fell because of Netflix and Tesla not having the best reactions after earnings. And besides that, as far as the earnings calendar goes, we had Nokia, Johnson Johnson, just a couple of others this morning. And besides that, we have Capital One coming out later on, and just a couple of other banks before we have American Express for Friday, but nothing else as major as what we saw on Wednesday. So earnings are going to slow down for the rest of the week until next week when things get hot again. And then we have some new news that came out. The rejection rates for auto loans has hit the highest level for a data series that went back for 2013. This is important because we are starting to see some stress in the credit markets, and this could actually affect Tesla and many companies for the future. Now, on top of this, Credit Suisse has raised its S&P 500 target to 4,700 for the week. I personally don't see that happening because I think that most of the catalysts that came out have been more negative for the markets, from Netflix to Tesla to the earnings that came out very recently and initial jobless claims. They are actually suggesting the market may start to trade sideways or even slow down a bit for the rest of the week. But could we hit 4,700 in the future? It is still very possible that this year that could come, but it will depend on so many different factors, right? Such as what happens with the FOMC meeting, which is going to be in less than a week, and what happens with inflation. The list goes on. Credit Suisse has also raised its Aapl target to $220 from $200, which is a good sign for Aapl. And then Barclays also raised its Nvda target to $600 from $500. That's just worth mentioning. Good news for them. As far as Tesla goes, Tesla files a recall of 17,000 vehicles on a fault with the seatbelts. This isn't that huge. It's only 17,000 vehicles, but this was according to the NHTSA, which was investigating them. So Tesla has to deal with this. This was technically negative news for Tesla, but it's not insane. It's only 17,000 vehicles, like I said before, not even 20,000. And then on top of this, Elon Musk was talking about how Tesla's in early talks to license self-driving technology to major automakers. That's good news for them. And besides that, there's still a ripple effect left from what happened yesterday with Tesla's earnings. Basically, the long-term future is bright, but the short-term is once again leading to more pain. Lots and lots of analysts are now attacking Tesla, saying it's only worth $85, and the list goes on about what they're trying to say. They're saying this because of Tesla's margins and the declines which are potentially going to come. We may also see Tesla show signs of bigger declines in Q3, as they mentioned in their latest report. So just be very careful because guidance was not that strong. So now let's talk about these stocks very briefly, what's going on with Tesla. We're getting more selling pressure, and we're going to likely come very close to this 275 area. We will see if that holds or not. Right now, when the market's selling very hard, it's very hard to predict where the exact bottom will be because that depends on where buyers start to step in and when we see selling pressure slow down. So for now, we're watching support at 277.68. If that fails us, it's going to come all the way down to 275, basically the low it made yesterday. And if 275 fails us, it's going to come all the way down to 272.01. If that fails, there's 270 as support. I personally don't think it's going to crash all the way down to like 265 or some crazy level like that. The high 260s, it's a possibility. It depends on how we're looking by the time we open, but I do anticipate a little bit more downwards pressure before this thing tries to bounce. I think Tesla has a little bit more selling to do before it really tries to bounce. But unlike Tesla, I think Netflix is ready to bounce a lot sooner because Netflix already hit its major support. As you can see, it's trying to bounce off this like 430 level. It dropped really hard. Netflix had a much bigger drop than Tesla before it's trying to like base around this like 430 area. So we have strong support around there, and I think it's going to just try to range trade for a while. When it comes to other stocks such as Nvda is also dropping a bit, but it's trying to base around this level after getting some bullish news. The only thing I see that's concerning is this imbalance down here. So it could get to the lower like 460s. It could drop a little bit more in the future before this thing really tries to bounce. That is a possibility on it, but I don't really see this thing dropping too hard, or like I don't see it like crashing like other stocks out there. I think it's going to base quite nicely and get a very nice bounce in the future. And I do have some very bullish targets for August, as I mentioned, for the next couple of weeks. Now, anyways, for SPY and the QQQ, I know I've been talking about other tickers and not them. SPY is looking like we have a possible head and shoulders that form on the 30 minutes time frame, but I don't want to solely trade based off this because if we look at SPY, it's dropping even harder in the pre-market. It's now down about 0.32% after initial jobless claims came out. And it's also because of a ripple effect from Tesla and Netflix and other tech sectors. Now, this is looking like it's going to retest the low it made right over here around this 453.5 area. We're actually very close to it right now. If that breaks, that's going to confirm a lot more bearish momentum for it, and this head and shoulders being valid. And this thing's going to come all the way down to the 452 area. 452.69 is going to be possible, even 452 flat. So more downside becomes more imminent and more likely with this head and shoulders formation. And it's looking more weak for the markets because this will slow the whole market down as well. And this will be dictated by the market simultaneously. For the triple Q, it's the same thing. It's looking quite bearish, in my opinion, retesting 382. If 382 fails, it's going to come all the way down to this imbalance right here in the very low 381 area. So 381 is going to become possible because of this imbalance. Then we have good support around this 380 area, which happens to be at the 200 EMA on the 30 minutes time frame. So it's looking more bearish as well. We may try to bounce a little bit after this like 382 level, since this is very important to start us off, but eventually it looks like it's going to come down to 380. It's also looking pretty weak thanks to many tech stocks. And if it breaks up below 380, we could see like 379 or so. For this thing to balance and turn nice, we want to see this thing get above 384. For now, it's not really looking that way. I just want to note that. SPY as well, if you want to turn bullish, you want to see this thing get above 455 basically at this point. For now, it's not really doing that, so just be very careful. And last but not least, for Tesla, we want to see this thing. If it does try to bounce, I forgot to mention these resistance levels. You want to see Tesla retest 280 and then get above 280. If it could do that, it has the potential to try to push up for 284 again, which is where it got rejected. This is going to be a very important area, this 284 zone. That's going to be super important for Tesla to see if it can try to get above that if we break 280. But for now, like I said before, I mean, it's looking kind of weak. I'm not really counting on it to hold these levels for the time being. It is looking more bearish than bullish for the time being, and we're going to see where it tries to base. So just be patient and wait for it. Until then, I thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day, everyone. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright despite this downwards pressure. Same thing with the whole market, and peace out.